Celia,
Yes, John.
can I make another movie about you?
Yes.
Okay. Celia Reisman paints landscapes overflowing with light, calm, and beauty. I would also add that Celia and her husband Mark are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Mark, how has Celia been since I made that last movie about her?
Better and better all the time.
That's nice to hear, and she still puts up with you and everything?
She tolerates me.
It's a beautiful show. Did you help paint some of these?
I make all the critical color decisions.
Okay. I think you did a remarkable job. She's lucky to have you as her colorist.
Yeah, she's a great front man.
Somehow I don't think people are going to believe this, but
I wouldn't blame them.
Hi, Celia.
Hi, John.
What's been happening with your work since you were in that 2012 Michener Art Museum show?
The way I make my paintings and my thinking about them has changed over the years, but I'm still so attracted and consumed by the imagery of the suburban landscape, and it seems hard for me to break away from it. It's an open-ended category because there aren't overt emotional overtones with the subject matter. But for me, it's always provided great visual variety, crazy color combinations and shapes and light that I didn't have to create. You know, still life painters have to set everything up. I just go out in the world and look around, and there it is. And the seasons provide an enormous amount of variety and change, and then also the time of day. So there's always something different happening outside in the landscape.
I'm surprised that you said that the suburban landscape lacks emotion, because I think there's a ton of emotion in your paintings.
I think that's true. I think it does seep in. But it's not as if I'm trying initially to make a painting that's either brooding or uplifting. It's not the motivating premise of my making the work. But eventually I think those emotions do start to come out. You know, a nighttime painting evokes a mystery, different kind of feeling that's, let's say, a daytime painting with lots of color and bright sunlight, which seems and feels more jubilant.
One of the things that I feel looking at your work, and maybe it's because of all the relentless awfulness in the world these days, is peace of mind. There's a consolation that such places are still here, or at least could be if we can get our act together as a species. Do you ever think of that?
Hey, that's a wonderful idea. I like that idea. People do say that my paintings are fanciful and have a degree of otherworldliness about them. And that's really appealing to me that people can feel that way. I look for places that are in between the houses that reveal something about the personalities of the people that live there. And so they are small vignettes, and I think of them as little stories. So I'm asking people really to pay attention to where they live and their environment and the beauty and the quirkiness of their everyday lives. You know, we're all glued to our phone these days, not looking around and not paying attention to what's around us. So I guess I'm asking my paintings to do that, to address being present in the real world. Yeah.
In your show are also some smaller paintings that appear more rural.
I live in suburban Philadelphia, but I used to teach at Dartmouth in rural New England for many years. We continue to go up there. Mark and I spend around 4 to 6 months a year up there. We live on a dirt road, and there's green valleys all around me, and hills and mountains, trees, very green. And so I've been trying to figure out how to paint from that landscape as well. That's where those images come from. Not much architecture there, so it's a different experience.
I understand they are painted on silk.
A friend of mine some years ago showed me how to make panels with silk or linen glued onto masonite. I prime the panels with matte medium and then make plein air paintings working from my car. But it seems as if nothing is a one-shot painting for me, so I bring them back to the studio and continue to work on them. There's something about the small scale and the delicacy of the material. I really love it. I'm not a physical painter. I prefer quieter surfaces and a modest scale. They never get to be much bigger than 9 by 12 or 11 by 14 inches.
Any new work that's not in the show?
I have been making smaller paintings of interiors, mostly from my place up in Vermont. And maybe those will eventually become larger paintings. I'm not sure, but right now I like the small scale of them.
Wow, they're beautiful. Does the art world still have a place for beauty?
People have been asking me that. So much of art has become political or sociological in some way. And growing up looking at paintings by Matisse and Bonnard, I remembered that they were painting during World War II, but their paintings weren't really ever about the war. You know, some artists back then were making political statements, and continue to do so today. But there's another level of involvement and awareness about making a painting that doesn't necessarily deal with political issues. I guess I fall into that camp. A friend of mine in Vermont said to me, choosing to be an artist today is a political statement. And I guess I believe that. I believe it's hard to be an artist and figure out how to make a living, how to continue to make and show the work, and how to build a community. So having a commitment to that endeavor, I think, is a statement in and of itself.
Great talking to you, Celia. Is it true that your wonderful husband, Mark, when he is not exaggerating his role in your artistic life, is a scientist researching appetite? And that he eats cookies and ice cream every night?
Yes, and yes. And thanks, John, for coming to my show. And thank you for making this movie.
The pleasure is mine, Celia. And as we take a last look at your work, I'll share a little health tip with our viewers. If you suffer from insomnia, forget melatonin or sleeping pills. Simply curl up with and start reading Mark's 2001 article, Conditioned Food Aversion in House Musk Shrews, a new model for the study of nausea in a species with an emetic reflex. You will be sound asleep in seconds. You can catch Celia Reisman, Side Streets, Back Roads, at Gross McLeaf during the month of September 2022. Plus, you can see a lot more of Celia's amazing art at CeliaReisman.com. It's well worth a visit.